Hi, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Jesse.
Welcome to the Reimagine Success Podcast. We're a husband and wife team who want to make a difference and change the way we all view success.
We've had the privilege of interviewing so many amazing, talented, and successful guests. Each one of them experienced success in their own way.
We want to change how society views success by inspiring you to live your best life and celebrate your successes no matter what that looks like, big and small.
Success looks so different for everyone, and we want you to reimagine your success. Welcome to Season 2 of
Reimagine Success. Welcome back to Season 2 of Reimagine Success.
Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing great today. And we are in the final quarter of Season 2.
No, this is so exciting.
Pushing right along. 28 countries now we are in worldwide.
Yeah.
This thing is growing. People are listening all over the place. And we can't be more excited about it. Just the fact that the message of redefining success and reimagining what success actually looks like to people is starting to get out there, and people are starting to take hold of that.
Yeah, and we are so excited to add Australia to our list of listeners.
Woo.
That was actually on our goal board, was to add Australia.
Yeah.
And we've just had a couple of listeners tune in. So we are grateful for you adding on as our 28th country, and or actually
Yeah, it's all over the place. We couldn't be more thrilled. There's people literally on every continent,
yes,
all over the world listening, and that's just mind-blowing to us because we're just two people here in Georgia and doing this podcast, trying to encourage people, and we're so grateful that you've decided to spend your time listening to us. And if you like what you've heard, we've got some unbelievable bonus content from the past couple episodes on our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/creativeglobal. You can also get video episodes 2 days early.
Woo!
So
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday, if you don't like waiting till Thursdays, you can get your episode early with video and no ads for just $5.
Yeah, a cup of coffee.
A month.
Here, a tank of gas.
Yeah. So again, thank you for all the support you've already given us. And we couldn't be more thrilled about the direction that everything's going right now.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget to share your successes with us every single week.
Yeah. You want to email those to us at reimaginesuccesspod@gmail.com or hit us up on any of the social media platforms. We love to hear your success stories. That's what we're all about. And with that, we've got an amazing guest today that we're super excited about.
Excited.
So we have Radavie, who is also known as the mother to the wounded children, who is a spiritually based healer who specializes in healing childhood trauma by connecting with our inner child. After a spiritual breakthrough in her 30s, she has spent over 30 years serving as a spiritual guide. She offers different programs and even a spiritual retreat for those looking to find inner peace using spiritual practices. You can learn more about these programs and her personal journey at www.radavie.net. And welcome to the podcast, Radavie.
Welcome.
I am so glad to be here with you this morning.
We are so excited to dive in and to talk to you. Jesse and I, we have been on a spiritual journey for a while now as well. And we want to every single day live our best lives and have a journey that is connected not only to each other, to ourselves, but to everyone in the universe. We want to be connected. And I feel like that is your unique journey as well. And we just can't wait to dive in.
So why don't you start?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, why don't you start by telling us a bit about your story? We kind of briefly touched on it, but tell us how you got into all this. What was the catalyst for it all, and where it's taken you over the last 30 years?
You know what? The bottom line of this after the fact is that my soul had agreement to do exactly this, but I didn't know that. I had to go through my own childhood wounds and traumas. Oh my goodness, and walked away from it. And then felt I was separate from all of that and I don't belong there, but the memories were here. I couldn't get away from the memories. I thought, if I have a lobotomy, I couldn't forget it because they were shameful and painful to me. And then a mystical moment appeared during a time when I was having my deepest emotional pain. I wanted to hide under the bed. I wanted to go to the darkest, smallest place. Maybe some of you or listeners can relate to that. I want to shut myself away.
Mm.
And the mystical thing is, right in front of me, with my eyes wide open, was my child, looking directly in my eyes with the saddest face I've ever seen.
Mm.
And I was shocked, and I thought, I don't connect with you. I actually said it. And there are 3 weeks she was there. And I remember getting mad, really angry sometimes. Just go away. I don't want to see you.
Mm.
But in this 3rd week, or as the 3rd week came up, I realized I had to connect with her. And I had no idea what to do. I didn't know how to do it. And so I learned from someone in my outer spiritual circle that through my own personal experience with her, I got to learn, hey, what was missing is your emotions, and memories. And I really want my listeners to hear the importance of that. So I went home and did my self-healing because that's what my soul wanted me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, I really, really got to understand about the human condition.
Mm.
And the compassion I have to people who are carrying, adults who are carrying their childhood pain because the child had no idea what to do with it. They're innocent and they don't have the intellect to manage it. So what happened? It all wrapped up with their divine self, their innocence, and they've gone on this path of identification of who they really are not. And a lot of people get into some hard knocks
Mm-hmm.
or misunderstanding or upset. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
All adults at times have despair. We have to go back to see, where did that start? Because the imprints, everything that has happened to us has left imprints in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not dead, they're alive. And every time something happens in our lives as an adult, and we react to it, we're not just reacting to that. We are connected to that in the past that had carried the same frequency, the same emotions. And so, I realized after I went through all of my healing that that's what I was here to do. I couldn't tell. My soul knew I had an agreement to do that. And that's why I have such a passion and devotion to do this, because I've been on the other side.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's so wonderful that
Mm-hmm.
you were able to take your experience and the way that you healed,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're implementing that in a way to help others to heal and to realize the things that they didn't even know are there. People walk
Right.
around every single day with all this trauma that they're carrying around from years and years and
Yeah.
years, and they've never dealt with it, and they've just kind of tucked it away deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And then that trauma emerges, like you said, when an instance happens, and they're not just dealing with that situation, but they're dealing with the situation of their entire lives.
Yeah.
So of course people are depressed and anxious and messed up right now because we're not dealing with the stuff that's inside of us. We're not taking the time to analyze and think through who we are and what makes us up.
And, in the last 2.5 years, with the whole planet, we can't meet anyone who doesn't have the same understanding.
Mm-hmm.
We're not separate. We're all in this collective together, feeling the despair of what has come down in the last 2.5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm very compassionate, but I have a very deep place from which I look at things. And I see how many people have suffered, and I have a great compassion for that.
Mm-hmm.
However, there I see also unresolved issues, seeds that were planted down in the earth from a very long time are now sprouting because it has been triggered by some helplessness that we're all suffering through. And the more the collective is feeling despair, the more the individual is feeling that it's not just their despair, but everyone's despair. And it's a grand moment for people to look and say, I didn't cause this pain, but I am carrying this emotion and I need to take care of this feeling.
Right.
That's
right. Yeah. I mean, and you have to deal with it. Anything that happens in your life, a lot of times we look at trauma and we look at something terrible that happens to us as a negative. And I'm not saying that, it's not a negative in that moment, but afterwards you can come out of the other side and it can be beautiful, and you can help others who are going through what you have gone through, and that will resonate with you. And it can be a very beautiful thing if you open yourself up and open your heart up. And, like you say, if you deal with your trauma and you're open to that.
Absolutely. And Melissa, I'm exactly that person you just described.
Yeah.
I'm exactly, because, there was so much shame hidden about, and I look at that now from a more expanded conscious place, that I didn't feel loved. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. But I came in to have a really difficult time with my mother. And I remember before language, I would beat my forehead on the ground. And even today, I can remember there was so much filled in there that there's no language to get it out. No, what to talk about? We don't have the psychology of it. And so, all the personalities that went with that, which I don't have to go through, because a lot of people will understand when they're holding shame and judgment towards themselves because of what someone has done to them. You're living a place with a mask to try to look the best, yet it shows. It shows. I know it used to show in me too. People said, "Are you okay? You're doing okay." I remember that. I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And now I realize, oh my God, I was carrying my pain on my face. And and it's noticed because we're all sensitive to energy. And what I have to say, how I got here in this divine place is that when I was 4 years old, I went to Sunday school and I heard about God and Jesus and Mary. And it was the deepest, deepest, deepest memory. But I heard that God is in heaven. And so I figured God was greater than me, greater than us. He lives in heaven. And who knows? I can't remember if they said if you're good, you get to heaven. I don't remember that, but I can imagine some of those churches would say that. And I used to look up in the sky. But anyway, without going into all of that details, God was like the golden thread that was in the tapestry of my life. In spite of my pain, in spite of my shame, I held on to that string about God. I knew that was a being that was so special. And I got to that place where I now know that God resides in all of us. And when we look in the mirror, we see God. If we look from our heart. So, we're just part of that tapestry. That's a collective tapestry in addition to my personal tapestry.
Yeah, Melissa and I often talk about how if we as humanity would learn to see everyone and everything as being God, because we're all made of the same stuff. Everything in this universe, everything in our reality is made of space dust and the same particles. Like we all come from the same beginning. And if we would realize that, because we're all created together and out of the same stuff, that we are all gods. Like God, like you said, God is in each and every one of us. And if we can look at someone in the face and say, you know what, you're just as much God as anything else, and I should treat you that way.
Right.
Then wow, what a difference it would make in this world if we would just see people that way.
Absolutely. And that's why, I have a real compassion when I see people living from a separate behavior and ugly to each other, because I know through my own experience that's not who they are. And when we're growing up and being conditioned, every human being has been conditioned. I don't care who you are, where you are, we have been conditioned. But the thing is, yes, we were never reminded who we are. That's the key. Because guess what? They all had forgotten who they are. And so we grew up with the ideology and the beliefs and about what is important. And the important things was to do well in school, to get a good job, to be seen, to have money. And so we start looking outside of ourselves. And that, again, creates a big, major turmoil, because we're looking for happiness outside and forgot who we are.
Now, Radavie, would you think that you are more of an empath, that you feel other people's energies and emotions when you're around them?
Very much.
Yes. Okay.
Very much.
It's funny because I'm actually very similar in that way. I can get around someone and I'm like, oh, you know what? They're feeling a little this way right now. And it's something I think that I have dealt with since I was a kid. I just didn't understand how to process it until I got a little bit older. And then I'm like, oh, I can walk into a room and fill out the room in like 2 seconds and feel the energy and feel the energy of the collectiveness of the room. Because like you say, we are all collective. We are all community. We are all family. And that is today in our society, we're so disconnected by social media, by the internet, by, everything that we think is bringing us together, but is actually disconnecting us so much these days that we forget about the one-on-one interactions. We forget about the day-to-day, the community, reaching out, connecting on a deeper level, not just, hey, how are you? Good. How are you? Good.
I know. That's the mask.
And
the
then
mask
you go,
is speaking.
You're right. And then you keep going out throughout your day. Like, I want to say, hey, how are you? Well, you know what? Today, I lost my job. This is going on. It's been a little bit of a crazy day, but this is what's going to happen. And this is where I'm moving. And this is where we're going. A lot of times if we're honest, not only with ourselves, but with everyone around us in our community, we will grow so much more being connected, and we'll learn and we'll grow. And I think everyone should have a little bit of the empath in them. And I think everyone does.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I never stop on the path of truth. I just keep going, because it's like there's nowhere else to go. I'm walking through the mystery of life that unfolds in front of me. But where I am now, well, the second step of my service to soul retrieval and healing the wounded child is that, unknown to me, but that's part of my soul's blueprint, came, and I had a vision of this little boy who had a golden key and said, we can help the adults. We have this key to help the adults, but first they have to take us out of jail. And I knew immediately what that was. It's the wounded child, who they are as a wounded child. They're still wounded, carrying the wounds. And I got other messages, and it said, we're not a wounded child, we're a divine spark. So that has, and messages that really urged me to put it in a book, so it's not being written, the book. But that in itself too brought me really more home into when I go into a room or when I go podcast, because there are many, many different kinds of people in networking. I mean, not podcasts, sorry, networking.
Yes.
And you see everybody, and they're all in their whole different mind. I enter with the knowingness that there's a spark in every one of us.
I love that.
And I really, really, and so the difficulty they're having, they don't realize how connected they are to the divine, And so anyway, I see the world through those eyes now. And I know there is a lot of dark things happening on the planet, but we have dualistic place. We need to, I think it's stated that it's necessary to have the dark and the light. And the only thing I can do is to bring light to that, because I'm not able to change it, but the divine in me, if I touch my heart in love, can make a difference.
Right. Now, I know that you are doing a lot of really amazing programs, and you have your business. And before that, were you in corporate America?
I created my own business. I don't know. Yes, I created my own successful business because that's good at it. And
so what were you doing before?
What were you doing before you created your business?
Oh, I worked in a bank.
Okay.
Very young. I worked in a bank. I'm from Jamaica.
Okay.
I'm from Jamaica. And so the first business was created in Jamaica.
Okay.
And I was fairly young. And a successful business, which is still going on today.
Congratulations on that.
Well, outside of my realm, there's a long story about it. But I'm here to do what I do, and no one can take that from me. Then.
Right.
So, and then I moved to the United States, and I bought a business, a home for the elderly, and that in itself had a great experience for me too. And so spirit occasionally speak to me, and they give me information. So I needed to go to massage school. Okay, and probably never had a massage. At the time I was going through a lot of stress. And
probably needed one.
I needed one.
Right.
And would you believe it's a private business, and 2 massage therapists walked in one day to volunteer. Can you believe it?
Wow.
That's great.
And one of them ended up moving somewhere to create her own school. So she was pretty good. And I would go as a friend, little handful of people to go practice with her before I went to massage school. But the thing about it, without going into the reason for that, I had to close my eyes when I'm practicing. I couldn't open it. I just don't know why. And nobody said to me, you need to open your eyes, which was good. I got to understand after that, it was not about the physical body. It was about the energy field.
So you would sense the energy of the person you were massaging, and then deal with that area of their body wherever you were sensing it, versus just thinking, okay, I need to rub this place, this.
Yeah. So that's very similar to Reiki. Reiki is kind of an energy-based synergy that does very similar work. Are you familiar with Reiki?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, of course. And so that was when at the cusp of my healing was ending. And I knew when I got to a place of my soul that handed me my treasure box. I want to say I'm not special. I really feel that every one of us have treasure box. We just have to unveil and get to that point where we begin to open to a blueprint even more.
Yes, exactly. I'm a firm believer that everyone has their unique gifts. And a lot of times, most people in life are doing their 9 to 5, coming home, cooking dinner, taking care of the kids, going to bed or watching TV, and then waking up and doing it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not focusing inward to unveil their gifts. So I feel like that's a big issue. What would you say to those people who need to get inside, like inward, and find their gifts? Is there a practical practice that you have that you would share with our listeners?
For me personally,
Mm-hmm.
well, as my evolution continued to expand,
Mm-hmm.
I offer a 20-minute complimentary discovery with people, and please take it. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
But because I really have such a passion for people to come home to who they really are.
Right.
So in that conversation, they'll come to me with whatever it is that's going on in their life. It doesn't matter. Something just happened. Maybe at work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this one particular person that keep bothering me or something. And I can easily, because, in my medicine bag that I came with, I have shamanic tendencies for many lifetimes. And unknown to me, I'm listening, but I'm listening from a really expansive place. And I can see in down into the hood of the car. I can see what's going on and why it's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll ask a few questions, and we'll get right to the place it started, because my knowingness and my feeling, like you, Melissa, that's empathic. You feel when the words or the story appears.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be hidden.
Right. Yeah. The truth will always come out, and it will set you free.
Absolutely true. And so this is where I love to go first with my clients. Even if I want to set some time up with you, I said, go take my 20 minutes first, because there's a lot that happens in that 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We're connected with each other. There's a connection happening.
So I was curious, you had mentioned that you are from Jamaica, and I was wondering, is Jamaican culture more open to the spirituality mindset? I feel like it's way more open than American culture, for sure.
Yes, I believe that's why I went there. So I was born in the mountain village, and I felt very different from the rest of my family. It was a big family. Mm-hmm. But my childhood today, I remember I was drawn to the helpers, because they're less educated up into the village, up in the mountains. But oh my God, they were psychic. They would have dreams and talk about spirit things. And it was amazing, because I'm remembering now, when my mother was pregnant with me, there was one psychic in the town that had a dream that she would die in childbirth if she didn't drink this bush tea. And she did. And we could have died. There was a long thing about it.
Wow.
Yeah, the midwife, I think the angel came in and
like your spirit
got
guides.
the midwife to do something. So that was the beginning of my journey of being an unhappy child. I came to kill my mother. That's what she said.
Right.
Man.
My grandmother, we're actually Indian descent, American Indian descent. And she would, as we were growing up, she had apparently in the Indian culture, it skips generations when all of your psychic powers and your powers get a little bit diluted over generations. So it would skip a generation. And she had She could rub warts away. She could heal. She would have visions and dreams. And I remember as a kid, she would constantly, do I would have warts on my hand all the time. I was a very big tomboy. So I was always outside playing with frogs and everything else. And so I'd always have warts on my hands or something going on. And she would always rub them away. And as she would rub them away, she would always talk about it. And she would say, Melissa, it skips generations, and you may have the powers in order, like the Indian culture and the Indian heritage. And it was really funny. I kind of put it in the back of my head, and grew up, never really thought about it. Well, I was in Los Angeles, and one of my friends had a wart on his hand, and he did Dr. Scholl's. He went to the doctor. They tried to freeze it away, like all of this stuff, and he couldn't ever do it. And that kind of came back to my head. And I was like, my grandmother told me about this, and she did this to me as a kid. I'm just going to try it on you. I'm going to do it the exact same thing that she did. Mm-hmm. So I did exactly what she did. And I rubbed it. I put my energy into it. And we're like, okay, it's done. The next day he called me and he was like, you know what? It's gone. And I was like, what's gone? And he was like, the wart is gone. And this is yeah. And I was like, whoa. But from then on, I was like, with anything like empaths, with spirituality, with heritages, you can get all of these. And if you hone into your gifts and build that up, then it can be something beautiful. And I feel like in America, a lot of times when someone says something like that, like, oh, you know what, I can heal your warts, or I can heal your energy. People are like, whoa, that's weird.
Off like you're crazy.
Yeah, like you're a crazy person. Like that's weird. Mm-hmm. Like we don't want any of that voodoo magic. But it's not. It's part of our ancient culture. And I feel like a lot of this was used in past, and it's just been forgotten about, and we need to bring it back. We need to bring it back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because there's not a financial gain for there to
that's
be
right. Yeah. That's right. You don't get prescriptions.
Right. Yes, a big pharma is not going to make a buck with us healing our energy because we're depressed, so if they can keep us medicated and on all these drugs instead of actually dealing with our issues, then it's just putting a Band-Aid over the gaping wound that'll never heal.
Right.
And they could just keep collecting that money instead of actually having healthy, well-balanced people.
Yes, of course. And, remember Christ, what Christ did? He was an amazing healer by walking by people. And he said, what I can do, you can do more. Mm-hmm. And if we believe, and with you, Melissa, there may be a lot more packed in there for you to take from your grandmother.
Yeah.
Seriously. Yeah. And when I started my service healing, there was a lot of emotions. My empathy took on the emotions a lot. That's what I used to do in the past. I came to refine that. Mm-hmm. And so people at that time was afraid to talk about emotions. It's a woman's thing, or it's they don't have it. People don't realize that we are emotional beings. They don't realize. But I think more and more people are recognizing, because there have been so much in the media about trauma, much more, and you can't have trauma without having a feeling. It's not going to work.
Right. So I actually want to talk a little bit about your clairvoyancy. First off, your process in that, and can you describe to our listeners what clairvoyance is first off?
Well, I have many, I will have visions, all right, and I will see, and I will hear voices too. There are times when I get voices, or even when I'm speaking, it's downloading in my words, and I think I'm speaking it, but it's coming through. And so I have many of those little clairvoyant, clairaudient, and sound. So I think we have to trust that there's more to life than just the physical. We must understand that there's energy field that creates the solid place. And look at my table and it's solid. But we know all this stuff that make right. And so the more we get out of our beliefs, cause some conditioning, and our identification of what is right and what is wrong. And we're being conditioned constantly, even as adults, about that. What's right and what's wrong. And we step away from that and start to go inside. We're surprised about the quiet voice inside that will speak. And if people can trust that we are not just an identification of a person, we are connected again to source, to the divine, to God, whatever word. And I love to use the word God because that's how it came to me at 4 years old. And that we're all divine sparks from the one flame of God. And my intuition may be different from somebody else's, but it doesn't mean we all have a sense of sensitivity. And not mentally saying, I want to practice it. I want to practice it. That's not the way to go with it. It's about sitting here and be at peace. Or I'm not going to say empty your mind, because empty your mind is another effort, mental effort. It's just being, just be in a state of being. Breathe. And that's the first place I would suggest someone to go to. Harmonize with yourself. And another thing, feel gratitude. Every morning when you get up, say, I'm so grateful for another day. To make a difference in this world.
A lot of people they brush right through life and not recognizing gratitude, not recognizing anything good in their lives. They're like every day, life is terrible.
You have to celebrate. You have to stop and celebrate.
That's a big thing in our podcast is we are always celebrating success, celebrating the good things in our lives, even if it's like little tiny insignificant things. We stop and we recognize and we celebrate it.
And the next thing I do too when I go to bed, the last thing is I just look at the day and just, what is it I'm grateful for today? And sort of my mind sort of runs through. And sometimes I can't find one particular thing. I said, I am grateful for the whole day.
That's so nice.
So there's beauty. I want the listeners to know there's beauty in every moment.
Yes. Even the hard ones.
The hard ones, sometimes it's the best ones, because you're having an experience from which you're going to gain wisdom.
That's exactly right. And a lot of times, even the lessons that you keep struggling with will actually repeat itself until you learn from it. So if you're going through a lesson in life that just keeps repeating and you're like, this hardship, I just keep getting this, or this keeps happening to me. You know what? Maybe you should stop, reflect, breathe for a moment and say, you know what can I learn from that? And so that way you can learn and you can grow and you can move forward and move past it and over it. And then over that mountain will be such a beautiful valley.
It's about your mindset. So many people have a mindset of, woe is me, this is happening. I just can't catch a break. Everything's always going wrong for me. Instead of looking at it and saying, all right, what is life trying to teach me right now? Who am I becoming through this? And what is this preparing my future for? Because there's so many things that seem tough in the moment, but years down the line, you're like, man, I'm so glad I went through that because it prepared me for this moment now. And now I can deal with this. But you have to change that mindset and you have to start looking at things in a way that are outside of, like you've been saying, our conditioning. We've been conditioned for our entire lives to just believe that we are weak and worthless and that we need all these organizations and structures to make us okay. But the truth is, we're strong, we're powerful, we're worthy. Yeah, we are worthy. We're amazing beings and creatures that just can do so many things that we're not doing because we're disconnected from like you said, from the source.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. And I think one of the difficult things that people carry is the situations that happen in their young lives, but it's what they think about themselves because of the situation that makes it so difficult. It's like the paint that you can't get off your body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
you scrub and scrub and scrub and scrub.
That's right.
Not coming off.
That's right. So my idea about myself or my belief and that is the greatest shame that we have. And so I have such compassion. There's so many children who grew up with abusive words, that they come up and feel that they're no good. I may as well not try anything. I may as well not try because I'm not going to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we deal with that with our children all the time, and we are constantly combating. Like if either one of our kids say, "I'm dumb, I'm ugly," and we are always absolutely not. Change your words. Do not speak that over yourself. You are more than that. You're smart. You're brilliant. You're beautiful. You're talented. Like all the things that we want them to start believing for themselves. We're constantly reinforcing that and unenforcing the negative speak that they do over themselves.
You know what just came to me when you were saying that? I thought, if I had little children now, I would be a much better mother now. But I would say, all right, okay, you think you're ugly? Let's go take a look in the mirror. I want you to come. Let's go take a look. So we're both going to go take a look. So it's a little game. It's not, okay, now you want to see if you're ugly. So I said, okay, how do you think I look? Like mommy or daddy, how do you think I look? How do you think I feel towards you? And then you say, okay, now. And it tells you what it is. And I said, no, okay, look at yourself. How do you feel towards you? How do you think mommy feels about you? And I mean, that just came up for me, and I thought that kind of experience, and they embody that. The other one is coming from their mind constantly. They hear it in school.
They do, yeah. That's beautiful. I love that. And the next time that they do say that I am ugly or any of that language comes up, we are going to do that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I can't wait to try that.
That was shown to me. That was just shown.
And do you know how sad it is that even as adults, most adults do not look at themselves in the mirror. They do not really look at themselves. They'll look at their eyelashes as they're doing makeup, or they'll look at their hair as they're
looking at the things that they think they need to fix.
Exactly. But they're not looking at themselves. Like, actually looking at yourself is looking at your eyes, because that's your soul. That's the window to the soul. So if you stare at yourself in the mirror and stare at your eyes, and your eyes are staring back at you, then you can actually connect with yourself on a physical level, not just my hair, my face, my, fixing my body, this, that, because that's all fixing. And we have to appreciate ourselves and look at ourselves and accept ourselves.
Yeah. I'm a songwriter, and one of my songs, there's a line that says, I took a long, hard look in the mirror, and then my world became much clearer. Because when, like Melissa's saying, when you stop and you really look at yourself, then you can't keep telling yourselves the lies that the world is telling you. You can't keep filling your head with the garbage, because you're seeing yourself.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, maybe all my insecurities are just these negative voices in my head that need to go, instead of the reality. And the reality is that I'm incredibly made. I am worthy of so much. I have so much to offer.
Yep.
And you can't keep believing that if you keep actually looking at the real you. But like Melissa said, people don't stop and take the time to look at themselves anymore. They ignore everything, and it's honestly killing our world.
Absolutely. And the next thing I want to go into more deeper realization for people that this body is not who we are.
Right. Right.
This
It's just a vehicle.
universe is our sacred temple.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I really mean that. What does that mean? Because I have had experience with my cells working with people, so I won't go into the details of that. But the divine lives in my cells, man.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more we feed it with gratitude and all of that, the more our body will feel loved. There's a consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to we are not the body, this body was created for our soul to come in to learn, grow, and evolve.
Right.
So we are not the body. We're we are that divine spark soul, as I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And so treat every part of ourselves well, you know.
Yeah. And consciousness is such a wild thing. Like, if you really stop and think about your consciousness and how unlimited and unbounded it is, and it literally carries the energy of the entire universe, and you can take your consciousness anywhere you want to go with it outside of your body. You can close your eyes and see yourself sitting there, and it's just wild how powerful consciousness is. And yet people just go on autopilot and let their consciousness kind of do the menial things, and they don't engage with it, and they don't find it. And so of course people aren't connecting with their inner child. Of course they're disconnected from who they are. So what would you say is a good way to start connecting with your inner child, and what are things that cause people to have roadblocks with that and keep them from it?
Okay. One of the things that I want people to understand is that their identification started from the first three lower chakras.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot packed in those three chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and the chakras, the chakras are vortex of energy that connects to source, to God. How holy can we be? The sacred temple is so sacred. So the thing is to know that and to recognize that whatever happened to us, we didn't create it.
Mm-hmm.
We're only feeling the end result of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so that feeling is what it's stirring up inside of us. And if we just say, okay, I'm going to sit and just be, or walk in the woods. Oh my God, nature is just there waiting to show its love on you in this quiet moment,
Yes.
And say, okay, I'm connecting with the earth, the beauty of the earth. I mean, the trees are consciousness here in another form, and everything around me is made with nothing but love. Consciousness is only love. And so, okay, so I have this pain inside of me that I'm feeling afraid or judged, or I don't know what to do. My life seems like, I'm losing my house, or something happened. I can't prevent that from happening. But the one thing that I can do is to see how I can feel better for this sacred temple and for my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And to remember, we've come here to learn and grow and evolve. And we're going to have hard knocks at times, but what a growth that is.
Right.
Mm.
It's amazing. It's amazing when you recognize what is going on in your life and you connect, and you in turn make it beautiful. The outcome is beautiful because you turn it into that and you make it a reality. You make something hard into a beautiful reality.
I know. I live that life all the time, because I'm touched. Sometimes I just remember who I was growing up, and even who I was as a mother, young mother, and touches me. And now I get on Skype with my 3 children sometimes when we talk, and I remember one of my daughters said in that conversation, she said, I had 2 moms. One was when I was growing up, and a whole different one now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so she was not denying the difficulties. She was accepting the changes and the acceptance and the friendship that I have with all 3 of them. And that is beautiful to me.
Yeah, so beautiful. I love that she's able to see that there's a big difference. And now, do your kids practice all of these mindfulness and meditative practices as well? Are they deep into that?
They're naturally spiritual. And my son said one day, somebody was asking, so Radavie, how did you get to what you're doing? He happened to have been here having dinner with a business friend, and he said, I'll tell you. And he said, when we were growing up in our pajamas, Mom would put a candle in the center of the circle, and we would meditate before we go to bed. And I thought, I had forgotten that. I didn't think about it, but it shows you how things we set on the foundation for our children, it lives there, so they have their
legacy.
They have their own intuition and different ways, and it's really beautiful to see.
That's beautiful. I love it. Now, speaking of your spiritual awakening and the process that goes behind that, I know I've always been a spiritual person through my entire life. And of course, when you're younger, I feel like you are so embedded in the world and trying to figure it out and trying to figure out your career, what you want to be. And there's so much of your mind that's activated and not necessarily your soul. So when you describe a spiritual awakening, how does that heal our inner child?
Okay. When I was a little girl, I would sit by myself. I was very contemplative. I wanted to know, why am I here? What life is all about, deeply, and I don't ever want to come back. So I had that contemplative feeling in me. But the first thing that started to evolve is when I went through my self-healing. I want people to really know, when you start to unveil all your identification of who you think you are, what you think, your beliefs and all of that, trust me, your thoughts are going to begin to change. You will. So that's the first step. And now you're open to the journey of your soul, and you're feeling guided. I want more. I'm open to listen to teachers. For me, I was open to listen to the awakened teachers. That's what. And especially when you sit in front. Now we do it on TV. Especially when you sit in front of a conscious person. Doesn't mean that you have to be awakened to be conscious.
Right.
It means that you're in that energy field of someone else, that there's an alignment happening. And so there are times when that morphogenic field, I would, because I'm so empathic and sensitive, would come over, and I would start to feel emotions from that. And that's one time when I had the vision of my soul entering the body of the baby, which was another story. So for me personally, my experience was I was in an airplane. I was flying home. My grandson had passed, and I was in flight. And I had one of these books that I was reading. And in a split moment, my identification split off, moved over and down the aisle of the plane. And I saw it. There's a scene that happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene that happened. So I want clients to listeners to bear with me. Who I thought I was unveiled. And in that split second, I know that all my spiritual work that I was doing, all the juicing, all the thing, everything that I was doing was for my identification. So the thing is, what was seeing that? Awareness was seeing that, because the identification of who I've always been living as spiritual was in that, I don't know how to explain it, more like a cloud-like image, and I knew it was me.
Yeah.
And so everyone is awakened differently. You get to see, one day you may just meditating, or you're walking in the woods or something, you think something happened, and you get into another state. You get into another state, a state that you had maybe not been there before. But knowing that there's something bigger here than the perception of my mind.
Yes. Yes.
And that's, and I want to say, and that's, although I did a lot of healing, oh my Lord, I don't know, that's when the purification started, really. Purification is coming from a different perception now. You can't go back, Once you have that awareness, you can't go back.
Right.
Don't let your mind take you over. It was only a mirage, or it's only a thing. You feel it here and you stay here, and you become much more open and sensitive to purify any little thing that comes up.
Right.
And it wasn't a deep emotional release like it was before when I was going through my healing, but became very sensitive to what was not aligned with the authentic me.
I love that.
That's so good. Let's discuss a little bit of the science behind this, because I love how a lot of people like to separate science and spirituality, but they work together so much, because the way that our brains work, it's often functioning in the theta state. And so can you explain that a little bit to our listeners, and how that works with the way we process things?
Good. Theta state is formally when we're born. The brain is being developed. And so between birth or coming, or maybe in utero, my book is going to talk about utero, what happens in there. We're in that theta state where it's the hypnotic state. Because what I think people have forgotten is that we're multidimensional.
Yes.
Mainly as children, we're experiencing all of it.
Yes.
So in that theta state, we're into this hypnotic state where we're absorbing everything, not just what we're hearing. But remember now, listeners, we are multidimensional. We're out of the physical form. We are able to sense things, feel things on a different level. So one of the things why it's so important for us to go back to our childhood, we have absorbed whatever's going around in the home. We have absorbed what's going on with our parents.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. A child does not miss anything because it's right. You
They
know,
really, yeah.
We are picking up on that.
Yeah.
The spirit, and so unknown to the child, it's being absorbed into energy field.
Mm-hmm.
It's being absorbed, and so when we grow older and we get into, say, an altered state, it means, what does it mean? We're out of the normal state of was it alpha, the mental state, and just for a split second we'd have hit another place where it's like you're into another zone,
right?
Another zone. And that is what we call an altered state, because there's so many different dimensions there. So another thing is, the more we unveil or look at our childhood stuff, the more expansive we become. It's like the door becomes much more open, and we're walking into a room with less clutter. And so that's how, and that is what has locked the child into the identification and the belief. My mother used to say this, or, I can't go there because of such and such a thing. That parents said that, and so we get locked into a belief.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your practice really fast. What processes and what classes and what do you teach that your clients, and what do you offer them?
Okay, I have 3 different programs. The first one is we get to get down to the grass top. We need to go find where a child is hidden in you,
right.
And we need to do some soul retrieval, and that is very, very common. People may think that they don't have one. It is very common, where part of us has really left into that state. And I have the ability to hear the children, because that's why they call me the wounded mother or something. And yeah, and some of them will tell me they've been waiting, and they've been waiting for their adult part, but that sometimes they're very glad that I'm there. So anyway, we do that, and I have a program for that, and then we can, after we have unveiled all of that, we can move into another program. One doesn't have to take that program to get to the other one. Depends on where you are. And the other program is to unveil the mind even more. One is to unveil the imprints. And now we still have ideas and beliefs about who we are here. And it's about coming back into helping them to discover their true nature, to discover their divine spark. Live from that.
Yes.
Putting that ego aside.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the other one is a retreat. We only have one person on the retreat, and you come without your smartphone. You come without anything. You come with a pad, right? And I will see that client twice a day. I'm devoted to that. So they spend 4 days. And after that, your vision of things will definitely shift. Yeah. Something is coming to me that there was one client, and she, believed in the masters. So she's not just coming off the street. And she just felt she wanted to come for the retreat. And her issue was about her mother. it was very difficult for her with her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And touches me deeply because she was able to go visit her mother. Now, her mother was not so well or something. She was able to go visit her mother. And I think her mother went somewhere where she has to get to the point of feeding her mother. I mean, months went by, I kept in touch with her. She was able to feed her mother. One who had such a heck of a time. I mean, believe me, to clear that veil, to me is very touching to me, to my spirit. That someone, not that I did that for them, but they did it for themselves. I don't look at it that I do. I'm very humble that way because I know that when I go into my sessions, it's the divine within me that is of service.
So I love that, because when you put it that way, if it's the divine in you that's of service and we all have the same divine power, then it's not just the divine in you that's of service, but it's the divine in all of us that's of service. And so like you said, we're all doing the work. Yes. We're all contributing to this, and we just have to be open enough to do our part.
Yeah,
absolutely. And when I go with my client now, I'm not addressing the problem. I'm addressing the divine in there. So you're very right, and you are doing the same thing too when you sit there in your sacredness. That's what's coming to me. To do your podcast and bring out the best in the people who you're serving at that moment. Oh, okay, there's more coming. But you're not just serving that person, you're serving the collective.
Right.
When you hold that space to bring that out, I mean, that was just beautiful. That was shown to me.
I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's something we take very seriously. Yeah. We podcasts, for those that don't know, podcasts are not great big money makers. We do
I
this.
didn't think so either.
No, we do this pretty much completely volunteer.
Right.
We have our Patreon page where people can support us, but we're not doing this because it's an income stream. We're literally doing this because
we want to make a ripple of change.
Yeah.
We want to change things. I had a meditation once, and it was so deep. I think you remember this. I started crying, like I was just tears running down my face. And as I was coming out of it, I just felt like I'm an empath. So I felt all of the pain of the collective, of everyone in the universe, just the pain of what everyone is dealing with, because they are listening to the pain of the world, and with the control and everything that, the earth and what they're trying to do, instead of listening to themselves. And I just feel so much pain of everyone out there. And I just remember I was just crying. I felt all of this pain, and I just wanted to hug everyone and just say, you know what? I love you. I just want to hug you, and it'll all be okay. And, a lot of times we go through life and we don't stop and take that moment to reflect and to give ourselves permission to say, it's okay. Everything is gonna be okay. And this pain that I'm feeling, I don't have to, because if I lean inward and if I go inward, the collective has me. All of these people out there that are really working on themselves and working on helping everyone, just like we're doing with the podcast, and we're trying to bring positive light into the world. Radavie, just like you're doing with your practice, and you're trying to bring the inner child out and heal the trauma of the world. We need to do more of this. And the more that we do that, the less of the pain that everyone is going to feel, and the more of the positive and the emotions of the collective that we'll have, and we'll bring that together. as a family.
Absolutely beautiful, of course. And that's why, I tell my clients, you're not just healing you, you're supporting the collective.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Because what's awesome is once one person starts healing, then it literally changes their entire network of
Mm-hmm.
people that they're connected to. And then those people can then change their network, and it just keeps spreading and spreading.
It's like your own little mini little universes. Everyone that you come in contact with is your little mini universe. And if you change your universe and start working on what really our problems are and where we think our problems are that aren't really even problems, and we work on those things, and we say, you know what happened to me when I was 7? I forgive. I really do. It's a part of me. And I wanted to touch back on what you were saying earlier about the paint. Everyone, all of our trauma is, if we look at it as paint and on our skin, for example.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can't just wash that off. That is part of our trauma. So, we have wounds. We have scars. Yeah. We have scars.
We have warts.
We have all of that. And it's a part of us. It's a part of our story. And you know what? Then we can talk about it. Well, I got this scar from this because this is a part of my past. And maybe that will help you through your scar. And if we do that together.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
We love that.
And one thing that's coming to me now, and I just wanted to say it on behalf of the listeners too. Sometimes you have a memory and you think it's okay, that's the memory, but I don't have the emotion. So I'm adult now, it's gone. I don't have the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
It's just a memory.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was 10, my father died.
Mm-hmm.
My father was in the hospital, but I didn't know why we had to go to the hospital to visit him. Because now that we're going to the hospital, I think we know he's not. The grown-ups know he's not going to live. So I was sitting in a chair. I was 10 years old, directly facing his bed. Now, my father, for me, was a leader of the house. He was strong. He made the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little temper. So we honor him, but we had a little fear of him. But he held the family together.
Mm-hmm.
And every child knows the importance of that without really thinking of it.
Yeah.
And I sat there, and my older brother put his hand on my shoulder and whispered, "Don't cry." And I tell you, that was there. And I remember my father, and the picture's right there. Even me, and I really want to say this to the audience, even me who is so sensitive to the emotions, missed it and never felt I need to go sit and try to bring it back. It was not there.
Mm-hmm.
And not very long ago, I mean, it's years ago, I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up one morning with a back pain across my back that was intense, more than I ever felt before. And I sat down there, this is odd, I'm just feeling this pain. And I'm able to touch my body. And I can feel if the memory is there and what it is.
Mm.
And the memory of that 10-year-old who was told, "Don't cry." To see my father in bed, so helpless, was very shocking to my psyche.
Yeah.
The man who was in charge, now wasted. And that's when I released it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I really want to say to the listeners, I'm not saying keep digging up and looking and this, oh my God, my life is full of emotions. It's about becoming aware that you may not have felt something disastrous emotionally that happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that it didn't create an impact on you.
Right.
Because there was a lot more that happened after that. I got to see my father, not as a father, but as a man. And the compassion I had because he was from China and how he must have felt coming to another country. It was a lot.
Yeah.
It touched. It was a beautiful healing moment for me to remove him from fatherhood to manhood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
And then
I
you can
really,
you can understand him more. You can
Yeah.
forgive him for his shortcomings and realize, you know what? He's just a person who was doing his best like
Yeah.
everybody else.
that's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
His mother died in China. And I remember they had these little mail, it's not like a regular envelope. I forgot but I knew he got this letter that his mother had died. Now, it probably took weeks for it to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I had such compassion and emotion for, he sat alone because with his culture, I guess he didn't know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I just felt he sat there alone by himself, grieving his mother, and didn't know how to deal with it any other way. Yes, so there was a lot.
Yeah, we love that you are turning all of these emotions and all these experiences that you have been through, and you are turning that into a program that can help people deal with their emotions and their experiences. And for us, that is just beautiful. And it's a beautiful thing that you're doing that. I know a lot of people have dealt with so many things, especially as a young kid, because when you're so young, you don't understand how to process emotions, and you don't understand what is 100% even happening around you half the time. And so as you become an adult, you carry that around, and you are helping, deal with that and process that, and, leave it as a scar, leave it as a part of your story. And a part of your story is beautiful because that makes you who you are, and that makes you unique and your individual self as a collective, and you can share that experience with everyone else.
That's a great idea, Melissa. I think I'll have a workshop about turning your traumas into wisdom or some word. That's a very great idea. That's not what you said, but that's what I got.
Yeah. Well, it's very similar. Yes.
Yeah, it's great. I love that.
I love that. And speaking of everything that you're doing in your life, this is our favorite part of the podcast, because we love sharing and we love celebrating and we love your unique journey. So we would love for you to share your successes, big and small, that's happened recently with our listeners.
Wow. My personal success?
Yes.
Yeah. Anything you would like to share that you would like to celebrate?
I have remembered, I've been drawn to different countries just because I'm guided to.
Yeah.
And I was guided to Peru, one of the countries. And I met someone who was a Peruvian healer, and we looked in each other's eyes and we knew each other.
Wow.
Oh man.
Yes. So my best girlfriend and I went on a tour. That was the first time to Peru, and I thought Machu Picchu was just a tourist area. It's no big deal. I guess if we have to go there, we just have to go there. That was my biggest recall I had. Lasted about an hour. And the place I wanted to go, which was Shivin, many people don't know the name, but he had mentioned it. And I said, I want to know about Shiveen. I left here to go there. And I never got to go because my body was going through a major healing and I just couldn't. We were close to it because that's where I was beheaded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I'm to continue this. My teacher at the time said, I want you, when you meditate, she told me the name was Radavie. She said, when you meditate, I want you to bring her in. So I knew I needed to connect with her. It didn't happen. So I'm going to continue the journey because I didn't plan on doing the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
But time goes by, and as an indigenous person that I came in with, plant medicine was very attractive to me.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely attractive. I want to do what the shamans do, and you know, and so I went to the jungle because I met a shaman here in town. In here, I went to the jungle, and in one of the ceremonies, I was told that we're going to have a celebration, and the celebration, you know, I'm up in the sky, I'm way up in space, and I can't go in. They're creating this room, they're creating this building, and I'm outside with a man. There's always a male person there, I don't know. And then we entered the room. There's nobody there but this man and myself. And there came the most incredible, awesome woman from behind the stage and came on the stage very slowly. And he said, here comes the priestess of old. And I just burst out crying because I knew what happened, how we integrated was through energy. Energy, like energy, and I just started to, because I think that was supposed to happen in this lifetime, because that's what my teacher told me. So that was a magnificent thing that happened.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and so I'm going to leave that one at that because
well, finding yourself in any form or fashion is always a huge success because you're unveiling a little bit more of who you truly are. And it's a beautiful thing to really understand yourself and where you've come from and what your purpose is. A lot of people don't know what their purpose is in life, or they haven't even really thought about it. Their purpose is getting up in the morning, brushing their teeth, going to work, coming home, cooking dinner, watching TV, going to bed. And that's their purpose. And that is not what our purpose is. That is not what we're designed to do. And for everyone in life, we are on a unique journey in order to find our purpose and what the reasoning is we're here, and to learn a little bit more about ourselves every single day. And it's beautiful that you're doing that you've done that, and that you're on this journey and this path that will find yourself. And, you know, a lot of times it takes a lifetime, right? I mean, sometimes we may not know everything about ourselves until the very end. And we're like, oh, I get it now, you know? But that's the beauty of this journey is unraveling every gift and every beautiful moment and every personality trait and everything who we are. It's our beautiful journey.
Yes. And one of the things, you know, I know a lot of people, listeners, want to know, what's my purpose? You know, what's my purpose? But through my own experience, I realized that unveiling the purpose is to really get out of, unveil yourself first. That's the first thing.
Yes.
Only when that happened did I realize that my pain was my purpose, you know, and that I was here to do the same thing for people.
Yes.
Nobody told me there was a knowingness that knew. And so I want to say to the listeners, when you hit a place in you that you felt, oh my God, there's nothing else in this world that I would want to do. There's a pause and look, that could have been why you're here. It could have been not go out to help people like I do, or, well, and both of you do, but it could be loving your children in such a devoted way that it's different from other people loving their children. It's, open your heart to love is one of the most powerful things. Yeah, so it's about love. That's the bottom line. We're all here to
open
to
your
be
heart
loved.
up. Open your heart.
If anybody
Yeah,
hears
to be
anything, this whole podcast, hear that. It is about love.
Yes.
This world, this life, everything that we're doing is about love, experiencing love, sharing love,
Gratitude.
and just, loving each other, loving this planet, loving everything. It just makes life so much more fulfilling and really sets you on the right path.
And speaking of love, where can our listeners love you at, Radavie? So where can they connect with you?
My website is really simple. It's Radavie, just like that. .net. That's it.
Perfect.
And I would love them to take the 20-minute complimentary guidance.
Yes.
You open
it's free,
website.
guys. It's free.
Yes,
Reach out.
Yes, when you open the website, you will see it right there on the front page.
Yes. It's beautiful. We love what you're doing, Radavie, and thank you so much for being with us today. You are just such a beautiful soul, and we appreciate you just giving back to the world and giving back to the community and working on all of our souls and our consciousness and opening ourselves up.
And you too. I mean, it's such a blessing to connect and for us to be in the field together. And it was just beautiful, and I want us to meet again, even in different ways.
Yes, we will.
We'll have to connect in person sometime too.
Lifelong friendship right here.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you come from love, there's no strangers. Oh my goodness.
No, you just love each other.
The world is the community it's supposed to be.
Yes. So we have to change it. Just keep changing it.
And you are now a part of our community forever. So thank you, Radavie. Like we honor you and thank you for everything that you're doing and for sharing, and just appreciate you being on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you so much. We met at the right timing.
We did.
Absolutely.
Everything is not coincidence. It's all a purpose.
No, never was.
Well, we look forward to the next time we speak, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.
I really hope that all of our listeners approach this in a way where they have an open mind.
Yeah.
A lot of this content that we're bringing right now is kind of a little out there for some people because, like we talked about on the podcast, like there's conditioning, there's mindsets that need to change, and we need to rediscover that we're so connected, and so many people feel disconnected. So I just want to encourage everybody that's listening right now to take everything that Radavie said and really listen with your heart. Don't bring any preconceived notions to the table, and just open yourself up to what there is to discover, because there's so much to discover in this life that we are unaware of.
Oh, yes. And she's such a beautiful soul to share and to help. We all have those wounded traumas. We all have experiences. And I know we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, but we just want you to see those for what they are. They're beautiful, and they can be life-changing and transformational.
Yeah. And if you enjoyed this episode, head over to our patreon.com/creativeglobal. We've got some great bonus content where the conversation continued after we hit stop.
Yes.
So make sure that you're checking that out. For just $5 a month, you get extra episodes, you get bonus content, and you get video ad-free episodes that release 2 days earlier than you get it online. So make sure you're going over to patreon.com/creative global, register for just $5. I mean, $5 a month. You can't get this kind of content for that much anywhere else.
Yeah. And we appreciate you guys so much. We love you. We love everyone all over the world tuning in, and we appreciate you guys. Please share your successes with us. You can email us at reimaginesuccesspod@gmail.com. Reach out on any social media platform and just let us know what your success stories are.
And if you know somebody that would benefit from hearing some of our episodes or that they might enjoy it, word of mouth is the best way to let people know about podcasts. Every podcast that I listen to, I discovered through word of mouth from somebody else. So take some time, help us out by just telling one person in your network that might enjoy this, and tell them they should listen to an episode, and help us get the word out about Reimagine Success.
Yeah. And with that, this is a Creative Global Podcasting production. Did you get motivated? Do you feel inspired?
Don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses anymore, and don't forget to celebrate your successes every single day. Thank you for taking this journey with us.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Reimagine Success Pod. Email us at reimaginesuccesspod@gmail.com and let us know what your successes are. Head over to patreon.com/creative global for bonus and behind the scenes content.
New episodes every Thursday at reimaginesuccesspod.com or your favorite podcast streaming platform.
So let's change our mindsets and reimagine success.